A good evening to all our dear viewers. Thank you for watching Poko Poko News. Whoever wants to find us online, you can subscribe on our YouTube channels, Twitter and our Facebook account. Nazli Mili to give you the news. News headlines. Alabama Republican governor extends face mask mandate. Al-Shabaab militants storm Somali jail, 7 soldiers killed. 10 of thousands of detainees still missing. China to tighten grip on Hong Kong with elections over well. Pope Francis on Iraq visit calls for the end of violence extremism. News in details. Alabama extends mask mandate as other U.S. states lift restrictions. Several states, including Texas and Mississippi, lifted mandate on mask wearing and eased restrictions on businesses. Rachel to give us the details.
Considering the advice of the health experts and breaking with the decisions of the southern neighbors Mississippi and Texas, Alabama's Governor Kay Ivey on Thursday extended her state's face mask mandate for another month. She said that it will remain in effect until April, but not longer than that. The extension of Alabama's mandate stands in contrast to decisions this week in Texas and Mississippi to end the face mask mandate, and Texas opened businesses 100%.
It is now time to open Texas 100%.
The relaxing rule was blasted by the nation's top health officials, with Dr. Andrew Fauci saying in quotes, "Now is not the time for states to pull back." At the White House, United States President Joe Biden this week said it was a big mistake to take decisions to lift the mask mandate.
I think it's a big mistake. Look, I hope everybody's realized by now, these masks make a difference.
The contrasting moves on masks in the southern states comes at a time when the number of new coronavirus infections, hospitalizations, and deaths have been sharply falling in the United States after the research that followed the holiday season. All the 3 states, Texas, Mississippi, and Alabama, are near the bottom of the list of states in terms of administering vaccines, according to the United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, based on the number of people per thousand who have gotten at least 1 dose. While the mask mandates expire in Texas and Mississippi in the coming days, Alabama's will last until April. After that, the governor said that it will be a matter of in-court's personal responsibility, and she added that, "Even when we lift the mask order, I will continue to wear my mask while I'm around others, and I strongly urge my fellow citizens to do the same." Rachel Winfred Nassali, MRI TV.
Deadly shootout after Al-Shabaab militants attempt escape. The number of people killed in a shootout between jailed militant and Islamists and security officers at a prison in Somalia has risen to 20. Nazli Mili with the details. Al-Shabaab militants had attempted to escape from heavily guarded prison in the capital, Mogadishu. An investigation is underway into how the militants obtained weapons. Some reports suggest that the inmates managed to disarm a warden and then a group of them raided the armory. Bella Shogi in Mogadishu says, "Monday's instance is highly embarrassing for the government as the prison, the second biggest in Somalia, is guarded by allied forces. The most dangerous Al-Shabaab militants kept in the prison, including those having life sentences awaiting for execution after being sentenced to death." Inmates had also attempted breakout of the prison in 2017, and the government was under pressure to prevent further such incidents. The government is investigating how this happened and who was responsible for what happened, as well as who facilitated the inmates to get their weapons. Government spokesman Ismail said 15 prisoners and 5 soldiers had been killed in shooting. Al-Shabaab, which is linked to Al-Qaeda, has been waging a brutal insurgence in Somalia for more than a decade. Nazli Mili, MRI TV. Let's have a commercial break.
A glance at the Americanism empowerment. When you take a sport or either take a deep look at the way the AMR Journalism Department is devoted to the practice. It is hands-on to every participant and backed by the well-stocked studios of Royal FM and AMR TV. The department has fed the group of practice with outstanding personnel backed by professionals in the practice, and it is seen from the products of the different students. Take a glance at every sector. The Royal FM has all the required machines and personnel to release a well-backed student. The Emaru TV now has some of the most competitive programs in the media world. It is Mutesa Wanro University Journalism Department.
Welcome back from the break. United Nations has said that tens of thousands of civilians are still missing after being detained arbitrarily during 10 years of civil war in Syria. Nababi Jazira to give us the details.
According to a new report by the United Human Rights Council's Independent International Commission of Inquiry on Syria, thousands more have been tortured or killed. Syria has been devastated by a conflict that erupted after President Bashar al-Assad's government responded with deadly force to peaceful anti-government protests in March 2011. The report says victims and witnesses described unimaginable suffering, including rape of girls and boys, burning of body parts, receiving electric shocks, and many more. Though reports say that detainees were frequently tortured at facilities run by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, the government and Hayat have denied torturing prisoners. According to the Commission's chairman, Paul Pinheiro, the government forces arbitrary detention of political opponents, journalists, human rights activists, and demonstrators were both a root cause and a trigger of the conflict. Mr. Pinheiro also said that hundreds of thousands of family members have a right to the truth about their families. He also concluded by saying, "This is a national trauma that needs to be urgently addressed by action from the parties and the international community." Nabi Jazir, MRA TV.
China's top lawmaking body has formally unveiled plans to ensure only patriots can govern Hong Kong as Beijing tightens its grip on the city with electoral changes, including a vetting process for all parliamentary candidates. Kato Peter to give us the news in details.
Millions of people have taken part in street protests, with hundreds even storming the legislature on July 1st against the now suspended extradition bill that would have allowed criminal suspects in Hong Kong to be sent to China to face trial. Critics saw the bill as a threat to Hong Kong's rule of law. Chief Executive Carrie Lam suspended the bill last month in the face of opposition, and this week said it was dead. But opponents say they will settle for nothing short of its formal withdrawal. On Saturday, the focus again turned away from downtown Hong Kong to Shanghai, a town close to the border where so-called parallel traders from the mainland China quantities of duty goods, which then carry into China to sell. The small-time mainland traders have long been a source of anger among some in Hong Kong, who argue they have fueled inflation, dodgy taxes, dilute the town's identity, and caused a spike in property prices. Our lovely town has become chaos. Resident Ryan Lai, 50-year-old man, said shortly before the protest turned violent. "We don't want to stop travel and buying, but please just make it orderly and legal," he added, referring to the parallel trade. Those have been the news with me, Kato Peter, on MRU TV.
Pope Francis has called for an end to violence and extremism on the first ever papal visit to Iraq. Gerard to give us the details.
The Prince of the Catholic Fraternity, His Grace Pope Francis, he has called for the end to the acts of violence and extremism on the introductory function of his visit to Iraq. This nation of Iraq has been much affected by wars and the coronavirus pandemic that has made people in this country to kick their last kick of a dying horse. Let there be an end to the acts of violence and extremism, Lord the Prince of Peace. He was welcomed by officials in this country and other personnel in the presidential home at Baghdad. He traveled from Vatican, arriving in Iraq at Baghdad International Airport, being welcomed by the Prime Minister Mustafa Al-Kadhim, among other officials and celebrative congregations. From there, he traveled and met the president of this nation, Baham Salih Hal. In this meeting, the priest of the church elaborated how the Catholic community has struggled to operate in Iraq. He also added that the Catholic community has contributed to the development of this country. With me, Priest Sekajigo Gerard, Poko Poko News, MRU TV.
Thank you for watching Poko Poko News. It has been Nazli Mili with the news.